Hello, sweet souls. It's DTO in the flow. Thank you for joining us today on this live streaming podcast. And today I get to interview an extraordinarily talented singer, producer, and wow, if you don't know about Corey Hunter, first of all, he hails from an island off the coast of Alaska, and Corey's music is an ethereal meditation on life and love. He grew up in a church choir, singing in a reverent flow state where he is most intimate with the divine. And he uses this as a way to process life's complex emotions and journeys. Corey Hunter's first EP, Metamorphosis of Love, is a heartfelt collaboration between his cousin Aaron, longtime friends Bria Park, Tate Tucker, Shane Hazelton, Eternal Vibration, and spiritual teacher Rupert Spira. Taking inspiration from artists like Son, Emmett Fenn, and Ryex, his sound is rooted in vapor soul, indie folk, electro pop, and alternative R&B. Honest, emotional, and grateful, his writing celebrates tears and joy as equally beautiful and inseparable parts of this incredible human journey we all share. Without further ado, I want to bring on Corey Hunter. How are you?
Hey, brother.
Nice to see you.
Likewise. Such a special day for us.
Absolutely. Launch day. It's the best. I love it. So much excitement. It's like Christmas morning or birthday morning. You're like, open up those gifts. You get to open up your musical apps and see that these projects that we've put our heart into and our time and energy and our presence comes to life and now gets to be shared with people. So grateful for that. And if anyone out there is knowing who Corey Hunter is already and don't know who I am DTO, Dave the Organism. I'm a producer. And I also live at Embody Costa Rica, which is a wellness and retreat center that my beloved Himalaya and I run. So if you're interested in coming to a slice of paradise, come to embodycostarica.com. I just put in a recording studio. So artists, musicians, guided meditation, podcasters, audiobooks, you name it. Anyone with a microphone is welcomed. Even Corey, which has an amazing microphone. You're set up. You got your own studio.
I'm in love. I'm in love with these two things right here.
I know the feeling. Yeah. It's gear and musicians is that never-ending cycle, right? You make money from a gig and it goes right in the gear, and then it's like this amazing process, right? And I want to make sure everyone knows here, it's an opportunity to comment, ask a question. Please share. Sharing is caring. And then, those algorithms out there are quite hungry. So we can feed them, even with the simple emoji, it'll let people know that this is really beautiful content. And we're going to share an incredible story about this project that started once upon a time. And now it's come to life today, May 10th, 2024. So yeah, boys and their toys, we're talking tools. So
yeah, I saw a meme recently that said a musician is a person that takes $5,000 worth of gear, drives them 500 miles, and earns $50.
Yeah. Yep. I've seen that one before. It's so true. Yeah. It's definitely, and that comes into passion, right? And this is what we're going to talk about today. This is a format that's a 5Q interview. So we're going to go through the origin story. So those of you that do not know who Corey Hunter is, you're going to learn today. Every superhero has a story. Either you got bit by a spider or got bit by the passionate musical note, maybe a C sharp or a F major chord. And however that happened, we all have ability to appreciate and love music, even if we're not the ones creating it. Everyone that I've ever met has a connection to music, because music can really uplift us. It can really shift us. As I read in the beautiful bio, it can bring us to tears. It can have us remember a moment in time. It's really a time machine. Every time I hear certain music, it takes me right to that middle school dance. So I don't know if any other art form in the world can really allow us to be in such a personalized space, as well as like a collective consciousness to really share energy with others. So we're going to talk all about that. So let's kick it off with question number one. which is Corey Hunter. How did you discover music?
Oh man, such a personal story. It's just like what you're saying with music. I mean, it hits straight to the heart. I think I fell in love with music when Tracy Chapman's first EP came out in 1988, and my mother and father were just building a house on a piece of land that they'd never seen before in rural Kodiak, and we had just the perfect little family. And she's still my favorite artist, my biggest inspiration to this day. I just don't understand how someone can be such a talented songwriter, vocalist. And I think listening to her as a baby kind of inspired me to join church choir. My dad was also in the choir, and when you're a 6-year-old boy, you want to just make your dad love you like everything. And so I went to choir and started singing, and then started soloing in the church. And then bam, I hit 13 and my vocal cords changed, puberty shifted, and I became super scared of music after that. And then it wasn't actually until I gave up on music for years. And then in college, I heard Daft Punk's Music Sounds Better With You, if you know that song, one of their early hits, and just completely opened my whole experience to electronic music. I'd always been familiar with church music and folk and bluegrass being in Alaska, but that song just was this portal into electronic. And so that kind of carried me on this flying carpet into this intersection of what I knew, which was singing in choir, and what I was inspired by, which was electronic music. And yeah, that kind of led to this journey where you and I are meeting each other now.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I have a church choir backstory as well. My mom's a pastor of a church, small town, Iowa, and she played the piano. And I always loved the times when her cousin Andy would come and play the organ, and she would play piano. It's like the dueling organ piano, and I would sit right in the middle, and people would be singing. Wow. And I remember, even if my voice didn't feel like it was in tone or key or whatever range, and I agree with you, the voice shifts and changes, right? And I just remember feeling the energy and the celebration, the almost like the lifting up of whatever weight was heavy. I just felt better. Yeah. I felt lighter. I mean, truly, when you start singing, sometimes you get lightheaded and you're like, whoa, I'm going to pass out. And it's really knowing that, we get to be self-expressed. And then being in a small town in Iowa, of course, there's not a lot of men that are in choir. I kind of did both. I played the sports and then I did music, but it was like, oh, you're a guy and you want to sing. And I was playing the drums in the show choir. And they're like, no, get off the drums. We'll find another drummer. We need someone to do a box step and sing some music. So yeah, my mom was very much into musicals and arts. So I love that. The divine, as we said from your bio, like we get to tap into that energy, whatever that means for us. And it's so lovely that you got to find that within you. And I even go as far as say, like, it's almost like music found you in your galactic journey. And then you just happen to be receiving it and you got activated and you're like, boom, it's aligned and let's do this. So amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I also just felt that spark the first time you and I had our call. It was like this whole project felt like destiny, from the first word. So it's beautiful to finally be here where it's leaving us and everyone else gets to experience it.
Mm-hmm. I know. That's a little wizard behind the curtain conversation here, where a lot of people, when they push that play button on whatever your favorite app is, even though, the song is 4 or 5 minutes, whatever it is that you're listening or experiencing, sometimes you don't understand that for every minute, sometimes that's equal to 10 to 20 minutes of either business meetings, calls, actual production, vocal takes, comping the vocals, other instruments. And then in this beautiful project we did that we're going to speak into soon is having this amazing spoken word by Muji that's placed into this project. So a lot of time and energy. And yeah, now it's like, okay, we get behind the curtain for all that time. And now we get to open the curtain and this is our moment. So I'm grateful for that. So let's shift into the moment that you fell in love and recognized that music was a powerful force for you, and that you started to discover your voice. So then, what was it? Was it a aha moment? Was there a one spark? Was it a series of events that led you to say, hey, this is something I want to do? Did you pick up other instruments beyond singing? So I'd love to hear more of that backstory.
Yeah. Well, after I heard that Daft Punk song and I got inspired by electronic music, I first went into DJing and spent a few years in Boston and San Francisco and weddings and things DJing. And it was a beautiful experience to listen to lots and lots of music. But I think my experience as a DJ was that your job is to curate, to find the best things, to be a librarian of music, which means you have to listen to a lot more bad music than people usually listen to. And so, or not bad music, but music that didn't resonate with me or that I didn't want to hear. And so it actually wasn't super aligned for me with the spiritual nature of where music entered my life. That feeling of like just complete flow with like the frequency that I most resonate on. And I think after that experience of DJing, it made me realize, if I want to like live and breathe that frequency, I can't be sorting through other people's music. I really have to be expressing what that frequency is that comes from inside me. So that made me want to create music. But the way the world works, it's very hard to create the time to do it. And so COVID actually was the moment when finally I was locked in my apartment in New York City, ground zero, and couldn't go outside. And I mean, they were putting tents up to store whatever, 100,000 people in an apocalyptic situation. I mean, it seemed like the world was ending. So I was like, well, it's now or never to create music. So, I had Ableton on my computer and a very basic, bedroom mic, and produced my first EP during COVID. And I had very low expectations for what that, how that would be received. And I think through the joy of collaborations, it's just been sort of one song collaboration project spinning to the next, and realizing that the community of sort of spiritual leaning musicians is actually fairly small, and we all kind of know each other. And so it's like all the people that are on your tracks are like also people that like live with me here in Guatemala. And so it's just felt like a welcoming really into this beautiful community of spiritual musicians. And it feels more just like hanging out with friends, just like we are now, than it is work.
Yeah, I love that. And you mentioned, flow state. And for people out there that may not understand that concept, it's when you're in a process of doing something, but you're also being at the same time. It's like the doing and the being is in this beautiful dance. And it really allows, from a creativity standpoint, for there to be a place of stillness, of listening, and sometimes of urgency, right? Like you said, during the pandemic, you felt like this desire. It's like, okay, I'm going to get this out there. And it's really beautiful sometimes when you can just then focus. And I'm on Ableton like you are. And for people that don't know, Ableton is a digital audio workstation, which means the software that people create music on. In the old days, the Beatles had Abbey Road and they had all these analog machines. Now everything is on a computer, and it provides so much opportunities for us to produce and have home studios, just like where you're at, Corey. You have your home studio. I have my recording studio here underneath our yoga deck. So, and I say to the concept of flow state, for me, it's when there's a joy and there's a bliss and there's effort, but it's almost as though it's just happening because it's happening. It's like one of the concepts that I always say is like, if there's something that you don't like doing, and then you all of a sudden are doing it, but then there's some like joy to it, is like a flow state. Like I could be in a flow state washing the dishes. And the way I hack that is like the Zen Buddha says, like, why am I washing the dishes? The answer to the riddle is I'm washing the dishes because I'm washing the dishes. Don't put a story into it. It's like when you're laser focused and when you are in this invitation that we all have to calm your mind, then there's a process where you can actually receive and witness what life is. And I'm grateful that you get to create music. I'm glad that you're able to, the pandemic, just like everything, all the elements, like fire can keep us alive or it can kill us. The pandemic unfortunately killed people, and it also kept people alive in a sense of like it ignited their passions, because I feel like as human organisms, and DTO stands for Dave the Organism, we are abilities to be connected with nature and with our surroundings. And, it's like a opportunity for us to ignite that. So the way you ignite people leads into question number 3. So how do people respond to your music? What kind of words have you heard? What kind of messages? What kind of conversations? So we'd love to hear some examples.
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, it was, I made my first EP during COVID, and I didn't exactly know what was going to happen with that. And the following year, I released the first song, All My Life, and it happened to coincide with the beginning of the Ukraine-Russia war. And in the first couple of weeks when the song released, it started charting in Ukraine. And people started messaging me, telling me how the song reminded them of their love for their country in their darkest moment. And it was so touching. I mean, I'm like, I could tear up right now, like just telling that story. But, for me, that song was about falling in love with God, falling in love with a person, falling in love with my mother as an adult. And it was always very personal. And, this is kind of like the moment for our song right now too, is that it means something to the artist, but it always means something contextual to that person's life when they hear it. And so it was just so beautiful for me as a first song release to see how my very personal story could be universal and then also very personal to someone else in a different way.
Beautiful. Yeah. And that old saying, like, art is in the eyes of the beholder. And in our context of art, it's music is in the ears of the beholder, but then the ears are connected to the heart, connected to the soul, connected to our emotion, as well as the wisdom and our physical bodies, our energy bodies, as well as our bliss bodies, right? Like music can just move us. And that's lovely how you got to have a connection with your mother, and also from a conversation of what's going on in these global crises, and how music can really somehow just reach people in a moment in time that can move mountains for them and make a huge difference. So yeah, what an honoring of how you get inspired and how life reflects art and art's reflecting life. And yeah, as we know, like I watched a documentary recently on Netflix of like We Are the World, and how that the connection of all these global musicians were helping a global cause of famine. And it's like when there's wartime, how there's opportunities for people to really hear something and just touch base with their own humanity and not be just sensitized. And I feel like music brings out the senses. It's a multi-sensory experience. So yeah, that's amazing. And so when you play, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think it's also just that experience was so interesting to me to realize that the day I published the song is actually the last day that the song is mine. And from that day forward, it's everyone else's. And it's going to have its own journey through people's ears, through people's hearts, as it will. And it's kind of like, I feel like it's like taking your kid to college or something and saying goodbye. And, that's kind of like this day for us, is that you and I got to enjoy this song experience, this song journey in private for the past 6 months or something. And now our little baby's graduating, and everyone else gets to start their journey with them.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. It's so true. And in this lifetime, I opted out of having children. I was a school teacher. I've taught thousands of children, and I'm an uncle, godfather, and all of that. When people come to our retreat center, I support people, hold space, men's groups, and all those things that we do. But our true babies, in the energetic standpoint, is definitely our projects, our songs, and because they get to like go out in the world. And, as you said, go out to college is a great metaphor. And they just go out there. Besides going to one single town college, they get to go to like all the global universities and get to do like a mini tour. And as you and I know, as you mentioned earlier, like Ukraine and other countries, like of my top 5 cities in the world, 3 of those are in Australia. I've never stepped foot in Australia, but it's just powerful how music can transcend borders and just reach people in such an extraordinary way. And it's mind-boggling. And you're in Guatemala, and I'm in Costa Rica, so we're both in Central America. We're still in the Americas. We just went from North America to Central America. So it's pretty awesome to be able to be in this world and be in connection and see those ripple effects. So that's, for me, like how people respond is really all that matters. I know it's really cathartic for us when we're creating it, we're in the process, and we can get in that flow state that we talked about. But I agree, like today is such an extraordinary day because now it gets to go out and be witnessed and experienced, not only by us that were the caretakers and guiding the energy and the flow of where it needed to be, but then it can now reach the masses in amazing ways. So
it's just also wild that it's like this song was written from 3 different countries at the same time. You in Costa Rica, me in Guatemala, Muji in Portugal. Like it's already a global song before it's even released.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what's great about transcending space and time. And these are global messages that are said by Muji in the spoken word. And of course, your singing is just timeless and really takes people to a whole etheric place. And as I was sharing with you before we hopped on, is, my wife Himalaya was playing it during a yoga class the other day. And this morning we had a couple private clients here at Embody, our retreat center. We were just playing it on a speaker, and a nice QSC speaker, by the way. We weren't doing you dirty by just playing on an iPhone.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, totally.
It's crazy the difference. I just can't believe the difference in sound quality.
Absolutely. And that's where, when we put the time and energy in focusing on all the frequencies, and then when you hear it, and that's our invitation for everyone as well, is to really, listen in your car, listen on headphones. If you have a really nice sound system, and close your eyes and calm your mind. And that's the request. And especially in all the chaos of the world, this is where music can really powerfully invite you into that shift. And we all know it's an inside job, right? And our mind has however many thousands of thoughts per day. And for us to take a breath and calm ourselves and be here, so beautiful. Amazing. So let's now jump into, which we're already doing organically, as we're talking about this project, Calm Your Mind. So let's get into the origin story of how this started. And I'll hop in by stating that for those of you that are not familiar with my music, I have a trilogy of albums, and my 3rd album is called Radiant Energy. And on this album, when I had already done my debut album, Nameless Energy, which was a full 60-minute yoga flow, and then I followed that up with my sophomore album, which is Infinite Energy, which is 7 songs for 7 chakras. This was this project. That was my 2nd album. See all the 7. And then with Radiant Energy, I was basically speaking with Himalaya, and her bloodline is from India. And I was like, my first album was 15 songs. My 2nd album was 7 songs. And by the time I was a full-time working high school Spanish teacher. And I was like, is there a number in like Mother India that's less than 15 and less than 7? She goes, well, what about the 5 koshas? And so me being from the cornfields of Iowa, I was like, what are the 5 koshas, right? I had no clue. The only thing I knew about India is when I watched Gandhi on HBO when I was a kid. And so it was like, okay, well, tell me. And then she taught me about the physical body, the energy body, the emotional body, the wisdom body, and then the bliss body. And so what was lovely is when you went through my catalog of music, you really connected with this song Wisdom, which makes all the sense in the world how Muji is a part of this, because that's a part of his teachings in the world. It's all about wisdom and connecting to who we are. And for those of you who don't know, once you export stem files, it's basically like puzzle pieces on the table. And in this way, it's like the never-ending gobstopper where there's infinite possibilities of what direction, Corey, you could have taken this production in. And and truly, it was so lovely to hear the updates. And as you said, it was like a 6-month project. Felt like a
Yeah,
lifetime making though, because it had so much
totally.
energy attached to it. So yeah, that's my side of the story. And then I just let you run with those stem files from Wisdom, and then you did the rest, which was so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a credit to you. Like, you had so much trust in me in that process. And we didn't know each other at all when we started. We had one phone call. I'd heard your song Breathe and so many times. It's deep in my playlists, and I hadn't even put together that was your song when we started talking. And then just through the quality of our conversation, I mean, we didn't know what we were going to do either when we first talked. We were just sort of checking in, two musicians in Central America. And I think, I mean, within minutes, it seemed like, okay, we're making a song together. So much alignment, just like in values and just in the way we connect and view the world and what we want for the world. And so I felt super inspired just from that moment. And I think you sent me such beautiful instrumental songs to start with, that this was probably the easiest song for me that I've ever written vocals for. I mean, it felt like the words and the melody were just falling out of the space of your instrumental track. So, and then what your instrumental brought me into a state of peace where those words came out of, in the same way that it felt like Muji does that when I am having a stressful day and I need presence. And so it just seems so obvious that if we could have him speak, it was very aligned with what your music was asking for. And so, I reached out to you and I said, I have a loose connection to Muji through Sam Garrett here at the lake. And, would you be open to us including his words in this song? And once again, it's like, I mean, I don't know how to express this to people maybe that are not like aggressively pursuing art, but it's so personal. It's so about you, that handing over your heart to someone else and trusting them with honoring it is like the same as like a marriage or like falling in love or something with that deep intensity. And like, I mean, Dave, you just like, you held steadfast trust for me in the whole process. And, you were a hell yes to Muji being in it. And then, that was a beautiful journey of me then listening to like bring this song to life, which was doing what the song is asking the audience to do to me. It was putting me in a place of like, can I calm my mind every day as a practice to discover like what very few words this song is asking for Muji to say. And then, so then, 6 months later, reach back out to you and I say, hey, I think we got something. So
I was so blown away. I was like, what? It was so lovely because, just the spoken word. And as I mentioned earlier, I work with a lot of people that record guided meditations, and my music has become like a soundtrack for holding space like that. But then, and a quick side story about Muji is I was in Encinitas. I lived in San Diego for 22 years, and I was at the beach, where if anyone's been to San Diego, you know about Swami's Beach. A lot of people go there for drum circles, hangouts, and Muji was there, and we were just like had a conversation, and I didn't even know who he was. He was just like, "Hey, I'm swimming out here," and I was like, "Oh, cool." And he was just going into Mother Ocean to, reboot. I think he was, a lot of people go to Encinitas, especially teachers and guides and people that are in his world that he is. So that was interesting, because then when you met Muji, I think I was like, oh, a memory just started to come in. I was like, I actually met him. Who would have known, jump in the time machine and be like, hey, this gentleman that you met at the beach once upon a time, just casually, had no clue I was a music producer. And at that point, I didn't even launch my album, or I wasn't even in the game as I am now as DTO. And now fast forward, it's like all these, and Sam Garrett, by the way, when we first, Himalaya and I did our international move to Costa Rica, we kept on repeat listening to Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, because it's about, getting rid of the the walls, the barriers, the blocks in our lives, right? Om Gam Ganapataye. And we kept on feeling and listening to that song. And then, yeah, just all these beautiful connections of artists and that have collaborated with Muji. And so it was such an honor to, get his blessing and his team to be able to share this. And so I think this is a great opportunity for us to share with the audience the whole original words that were said.
Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful.
Deep gratitude to you.
That
Of my life.
you follow this advice, and every time it will take you here. It will keep pointing here. It will keep pointing here. It will keep pointing here. Just be here. You cannot spend enough time here. Anytime you feel in any place, just sit and clarify your position. If you come to the isness and not to the person, you have done it. Keep being here, until the sense that you have done it is exhausted. Then it's done. Thank you.
Such a beautiful moment.
Thank you for sharing that with me. I hadn't seen that until now. And yeah, there's the context and his moment of, just being an open-hearted being and a light to bring in the awareness for others that are, just here. We get to be home and we get to share. And yeah, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's so beautiful. It's like right before that moment, she's kind of very emotionally lost and feeling a lot of sadness and fear. And, he asks her to come up and just holds her hand. And he's like, it's all inside of you. Like, you've got it anytime you want. And then blesses her. And I think that's the message we try to convey in this song, which is like, anywhere you are, whatever is happening, like all your peace is inside here. It's not in a relationship. It's not in a job. It's not in whether you win or whether you lose. Like, the nature of your being is peace. And there's nothing that can happen in this life that can shift that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what an extraordinary soul. And yeah, if anyone wants to know more about Muji, you can go to muji.org and see more of his teachings. And yeah, what a moment to witness how, we all get lost, we all lose our way, and to have a guide and to have a teacher. And of course, we're the teacher within, and it's also our birthright as humanity to look out for each other. And that's who Muji is in the world, is someone that's keeping us in our presence and keeping us in our path. And so powerful. So good. So I think this is a great moment to share a clip of the song. And for anyone out there that's listening and watching, this is anywhere that you like to stream music, you can access this beautiful song. And our request and our call to action for you is to put it on your playlist, to share it, to put it on repeat, whatever it means for you, to just be in this place and space. And we're always open to receiving any messages or direct messages on Instagram of like how the song landed for you and what's showing up for you and how how you receive it. And that's something really powerful that we invite you into. And let's jump into it. So this is Calm Your Mind by DTO, Corey Hunter, featuring Muji.
follow this advice. Anytime you feel in any place, just sit and clarify your position. And every time it will take you here. It will keep pointing here. It will keep pointing here. Just be here. You cannot spend enough time here. Anytime you feel in any place, just sit and clarify your position. If you come to the isness and not to the person, then it's done.
Call your mind into the heart of divine.
Be here. You cannot spend enough time here.
Call your mind into the heart of divine.
Be here.
You're always home.
Just be here. Just be here. You cannot spend enough time here.
Wow.
I was getting lost there. We could have stayed there for another 30 minutes.
I agree. So amazing. Yeah, I want to make sure everyone gets the opportunity to hear the entire song by giving you a little teaser clip. Yeah, and inviting everyone to check out Corey Hunter, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, all the places and spaces where music is available. And as you can see here below, you can go to Instagram and check out Corey as well. And then for those of you that haven't heard any of my music, you can check me out as well, DTO, on all platforms. And I'd love to have people go to your website, CoreyHunterMusic.com, and yeah, get access to all that you're offering and sharing. And let's dive into your Instagram, because we all love the gram. All right, so there's beautiful offerings here of photos of you playing, performing. Here's a little snip.
I waited all my life for you. You're my dream come true. There's nothing more I need to do. Promise you to give all my love to you. I give all my love to you.
Beautiful. Wow. Yes. And I want to share this video because I love this one so much, of people in their meditative states with Calm Your Mind.
Just be here.
And we'll be sharing
Well,
more
by
of
the way,
those videos
Yeah, some
soon.
more clips, little teaser clips. I love these.
People
Yeah,
from all over the world. in those.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Himalaya is always like, oh my gosh, Corey's voice is so amazing. So
Oh,
you get some love
she's
here.
so sweet.
And yeah, these are wonderful videos of you singing and performing. Looks like you're getting interviewed and getting other opportunities to share about your journey, your podcasts, and some. Oh, this looks fun! Like some outdoor live performing.
That was great.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love this photo. This is a gem right here.
That's me and Mom. Yeah.
Yes. And as you were sharing your backstory of creating your EP and how this really allowed for you to have a deeper connection.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to you, me, and Muji being in the same place. I'm just going to manifest that, and we're going to perform this song together, the three of us. So,
I would love that. Oh my gosh, let's put it out there. Yeah, so it's all happening. That's my affirmation always. It's all happening.
Amen.
Oh, I love this. So fantastic. All right, well, let's go into question number 5, the last moments for you to share either some closing words, advice, or any wisdom. The mic is yours.
Yeah, well, I think the nature of this project, the birth of this song, was really trusting the energy that feels good. And just having a phone call with DTO, sitting in presence with his song, trusting that the words and the melodies that would flow out are the ones that the universe is asking for. I think my practice of spiritual development recently has been, can I pay attention to the most subtle yes in my experience? And can I lean into that more and more in every moment, in my relationships, in my work, in my practice? Like, where is the yes, where I feel fully open, fully in flow, and it feels easeful and natural, where I don't feel like I'm forcing? And this song is just like such a perfect example of how that manifests in my life. And I feel so proud of listening to that voice. And I hope that this song helps bring everyone who hears it into a state where they can hear that voice more closely.
Yes. Super grateful, honored to have worked with you on this project. And it's only the beginning. I feel that there's so many other collaborative opportunities. And thanks again for sharing your origin story of your life as an artist, musician, producer, vocalist, singer, piano player, Renaissance man that gets to show up in the way that you do, in your radiance, in your light, and just be a heartfelt visionary of what's possible for humanity. And I'm so honored and can't wait to see the ripple effects of this song. Again, we're rooting this in, we're anchoring this song in. Today is May 10th, 2024, and trusting that more of you that are out there will share this podcast, will share the music, and stay close. Everyone out there, let us know how this art has made an impact in your life. And thank you, Corey, for being here, for sharing all of who you are, and for all of us to get the details on a little bit more of who you are and your journey with music and life. So thanks again, brother.
I just want to say the beauty we see is the beauty we are. And, that's really what you put together in the world. Like, when I mentioned I was doing a song with you, like, every person that I loved was like, I know DTO. Or even I did a song with DTO, or he's such an amazing person, or you got to go to Costa Rica. So just like all the light you send is the light that you are. And it's just such an honor to have made this beautiful piece of art with you.
That is so awesome. Yeah. Big shout out to all of our soul family and our worldly creative star seeds that have been, bursting out in different places on the planet. And it's so cool how we all still get to be in connection. And this is when the technology and the Starlink and the fiber optics, even though we're in Central America, gets the ripple effect out there. And so, thanks again, Corey. And Thanks for our musical tribe that has the spirit of collaboration opposed to competition. That's such a huge quantum leap for so many of us, because what we've been presented a lot of times is competitiveness in any field of work that we're out doing in the business world, in the creative arts world. So it's so cool that we support each other and lift each other up, and they're always like cheerleading each other on. So yeah, big
Definitely.
shout out to those people that you know who you are. All right. Thank you so much, brother. And I will
Awesome.
complete
Thank you.
our moment here with the tail end of the music, because we just have to complete it. All right. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy.
Just here.
Into the heart of
Follow this advice, and every day becomes your best day. Every instant, the best moment. Just be here.